What is up, my wizards? It's Dev back again from SBMTG. We got a lot of spoilers today, I think 11 in all, so let's go ahead and kick it off. We gotta get through these. Some of them super interesting, some of them not so much, to be honest with you. Well, let's talk about something interesting first, because that's cool. People like that. Let's do Abbot of Carol Keep, the rare red 2-drop that has great significance even later on in the game. So that's cool. I think that, though, as soon as Origins hits, Goblins is going to be the dominant red aggro deck. So I'm not really sure, and obviously if you play this second turn, you're not going to be able to do anything with that draw. So, I don't know, I'm just not an enormous fan of it on curve, but it is really good as a top deck later in the game, probably. I mean, there's always the chance that you get the random land off of it or something. So, I think that it's super interesting, and I like that Wizards is doing more with this, red draw a card sort of thing, but I'm not really sure if it's going to see too much play. Here's Gideon's Phalanx. It doesn't look very good. Obviously, this is a blowout to mass removal, like the biggest blowout imaginable, so that's cool. But also, this could see play in Commander. I could see that being a thing, possibly, but probably nowhere else. Here's the thing that nobody knows what to do with. This is Disciple of the Ring, and I'll say this much. She does lots of stuff. For relatively cheap, in sort of Delver-ish type decks or controlled decks, things like that, we're going to be able to activate that ability a few times pretty easily. You can stack them to counter spells more easily in this case. But you can get her, you can make her pretty big. You can tap guys. She works very well with inspired creatures and such. But overall, I just think that the problem is she costs 5 mana, and that is an awful lot of mana. So I just think she's really priced out of the market, and probably won't make too much of an impact, sadly. I mean, this looks good for like Cube too, we'll say that, but I'm just not really sure how much it'll do in Standard, but it does an awful lot of stuff to just count it out. Here's Priest of the Bloodright. Okay, a couple of things about this. It is 7 power, which is pretty cool. For 5 mana, not bad. Notable that you lose 2 life during your upkeep thing is an ability of the priest and not of the demon. So you could sacrifice the priest, get rid of him somehow. You can attack or block with him and he dies. And you don't have to worry about that anymore. It's just the demon that you really are worried about on this. Although 7 power for 5 mana is more than fair, and 5 of it flies. So interesting reanimation target, but obviously we have better stuff than that in the format right now. So I don't think this will make too much of a splash. I really do like the design on it. This is traditionally a fairly powerful card. I just don't really think with what we have right now in the format that this is going to be an impact player. Here's Talent of the Telepath, and people are rejoicing about this card so far today. It is 4 mana for 7 mil, and you'll very likely get to play at least 1 spell. I mean, there are times where you won't. If you have the spell mastery, it gets pretty good if you can get both spells off the top 7. And obviously, against other control decks, and this is a very spell-based format despite all the good creatures. There's a lot of spells in every deck because we have things like Heroic. Even the aggro decks play a lot of spells. So you'll probably rip something you can play, but I don't know about the significance of it. Now, again, this is mill 7 for 4 mana, so people keep asking for mill decks, and so there's definitely a fan base for mill. So this is just another argument for it. Not only do you mill, but you get an extra effect off of it. And this is sort of reminiscent of reverse dig through time, right? Is what people are saying, and I can see that. But this is nowhere near the same league, I think, as dig through time, which is one of the best cards printed the last couple of years. So, but I do think this is hella interesting, and people will probably try to make it work. Just whether or not it actually does work, I'm not so sure about. But this will almost certainly be in the mill deck that we will definitely build, because we keep getting requests for it. I just want to see more of Origins before I build that deck, because I think there will be even more support for mill in Origins. So sit tight, it's coming. Here's Scab Clan Berserker. I actually think this is a fine card in some red aggro decks. Same argument. Goblins will be an important deck in the format. I don't think this really goes in Goblins. This combined with something like Eidolon of the Great Revel is pretty cool, I would say. Just, lots of incremental advantage, although there are downsides too. But at the same time, I just think it's a very well-designed card. It's a eventual 3/3 for 3 mana, although I hate that you have to get the Renowned off there. But she does a lot of stuff. I like the haste, so, all things considered, I think this is a pretty pushed card. But whether it's quote-unquote good, that kind of remains to be seen. But it looks good to me. Up next, this is Despoiler of Souls. Okay, so cool name and really cool artwork. So aside from that, though, Not sure. Again, traditionally, creatures like this are very good. Something like Bloodghast always sees a lot of play. We play Bloodstone Champion, you know. But Bloodghast is good because it's landfall, and you're going to play lands regardless. This requires an awful lot of creatures to activate it more than a couple of times. Well, although a couple of times might be all you need. I absolutely hate that it cannot block. Now, in black aggro decks, very, very good, though. You know, first turn champion, second turn this, and it's, you know, what is it? Let me just make sure you got 2 mana for a 3-power black creature. I'm not sure we've ever seen that on a black creature. I can't remember for right now, but that is a very rare thing on any creature. 2 mana for 3 power. So this is pretty good for a color like black that never really gets to see anything on that level. And it recurs itself. So this is probably more than fair. I'm not really a fan of its synergy with Bloodstone Champion, but they definitely go in the same deck, I think. Black aggro has been wanting to be a thing for a while, and this helps it a little bit. I think it'll see some standard play, but we'll see exactly how good it is. Well, this is Necromantic Summons, and I love the A graveyard clause there. You know, any graveyard is way better than just ours. So, probably not going to see much standard play, though, all things considered. But it probably will be a good option for budget decks, and you know how we love budget decks on this channel. So we probably will make some things with this, because I think it's really borderline, but not quite there as like the reanimation spell in standard, especially not while Whip of Erebos is in the format. So I'm not really seeing this, and hell, Whip of Erebos is pretty budget right now, even though it's still played. It's a very good card. So maybe in budget stuff, but I'm really not seeing this in any format constructed play. This guy here is Hangerback Walker, and he has some people excited about putting him in Affinity. I would not be one of those people. I think he's far too expensive in most situations. He could be a 2-mana 1/1 that gets you a 1/1 flyer when he dies. That is probably my favorite way to play this dude. I mean, you pump like 6 or 8 mana into him. Sure, when he dies, you'll get a fair amount of like Doom Traveler, Thragtuskian sort of value out of him. But is it going to be worth it at the end of the day? I'm just not sure that for that much mana, it's going to be good. You know, it just sort of seems like, and this, a lot of people might recoil at this, but it seems like it loses value as you put more mana into it. I really like this as a cheap creature. Don't like it so much as an expensive creature. And we've got so many things that eliminate tokens right now that we play in all formats, that this just, it doesn't seem like as much of a deal. But, you know, Horned Queen didn't seem like as much of a deal, and people play that, so who knows. But this isn't like a reanimation target like Horned Queen is, so yeah, I'm not 100% sure. But probably not. The last 2 cards are green, and they might be crazy. This is Animist's Awakening, and I am a big fan of this. Everyone's like, oh, Zanissa, that's what you do. Exactly. This is not just how you flip Nissa. But this card has a lot of applications. You can, first of all, you can pay 2 to just basically scry 1, and if it happens to be a land, it comes into play. That's pretty cool. We're playing a lot of lands that come into play tapped by default now, so that spell mastery ability is actually kind of cool because it untaps the lands that would normally come into play tapped. So that's kind of cool. Lots of stuff going for this. Obviously, if you can get it off for a large cost, that's pretty awesome. But that's crazy ramp. You know, even if you just play this for 3 or 4, I think you're getting good value. Although at that point in the game, is this a better play than some of the other stuff you could be doing? It's a good argument. There's a lot of people saying, like, what's up with the bottom of your library in a random order? I don't understand that, and maybe it's for this or that. Definitively, it is so you cannot stack your deck in whatever order you wish. That's what that's for. But people are also saying this might make a splash in Modern. We'll see. I don't know. We have things like Scape Shift in Modern that are just unbelievable and do what this card wants to do a little bit better. So I don't know about that, but Standard might do some things with this almost definitely. Again, I keep saying it's not sure how great it'll actually be, but this will fit into some Standard decks almost certainly. Last card, I told you this one's also green. This is Evolutionary Leap, which is a great callback to Survival of the Fittest, the card this card is based off of. That's a cute little name thing they did there. I see what you're doing, Wizards, is all I'm saying. And this is nowhere near as good as Survival was. They've definitely toned it way down, and this is a bomb in Limited. But we might see this in Constructed. There are a couple, this is a very polarizing card. We've seen a few of those in the last couple of days. There are spiky sort of players saying that this is not playable in any way. And then there are Johnny sort of, build around combo brewer players who are saying that this is probably a more than fine card, especially in decks that actually run a limited amount of creatures. That way you can be very sure or somewhat sure of what creature you're going to I guess, evolve into. So that's kind of cool. I wish it didn't just put it in your hand. But you could also make a case, this helps you find your Death Mist Raptor Den Protector combo easily. You don't care if you sacrifice your Death Mist. You get your Den Protector, it's going to come right back. So there's that. This card could do some things in some decks. I'm not entirely against it. And I do like it in black-green recursion strategies, obviously, which could be a thing. I'm not entirely sure about that. We've only seen a couple of cards that support that theory, but it'll probably at least try to be, a mid-tier deck. So all things considered, I'm a fan of definitely the design of the card, and I love that they were able to. This is fixed. I think we can all agree this is a fixed survival of the fittest, and they fixed it probably well. And we'll see if it really makes a splash, but it's hard to judge. But I do think it's very, very cool, and there are probably broken things that you can do with this. So let us know what you think about all of these. The next deck tech, like I said, is going to be Goblins. I want to put it up in the next day or two. We'll see about that. And yeah, if you like the content, remember to do us a favor. Thumbs up the thing, man. Like, share, comment. Please do that. Subscribe. Want to know how you feel about all these. So yeah, I'm sure there's going to be more spoilers later on. They're really snowballing at this point. So stick with us, man. I'm Dev from SBMTG. Thanks for watching, my wizards.